Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharyamadhyamam
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
Asmadacharyaparyantam
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम्
Vande
वन्दे
Guru Paramparam
गुरुपरम्पराम्
Om Sahana
सहना
Bhavatu
भवतु
Sahano
सहनौ
Bhunaktu Sahaviryam
वीर्यं
Karvavahai
करवावहै
Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा
vidvishavahai
विद्विषावहै
Om
ॐ
Shanti
शान्ति
Shanti
शान्ति शान्तिः
Shanti Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya, Acharya ji.
Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya.
So we will continue from where we left off. We are on which verse now? Verse number 6, right?
Yes.
So we'll
Yes, sir.
chant that. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Shri Bhagwan
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Yatha Kasha Sthito Nityam
Yatha
Yatha
Kasto
Kashasthito
Nityam
Nityam
Vayu Sarvatra Gomahan
Vayu Sarvatra
Vayuh Sarvatra Gomaha
Tatha Sarvani Bhutani
Tatha
तथा
Sarvani
सर्वाणि भूतानि
Matsthanit Matsthanit
Matasthani
मत्स्थानि प्रधारय.
Okay, so I'll just mute you all. Right. So Krishna continues. He says, Yatha, just as Mahan Vayuhu, that great wind, Sarvatragaha, which is all pervading. Yatha Mahan Sarvatraga Vayuhu, that all pervading wind, Nityam Akashasthitaha, is always present in space. You can understand? Nityam Akashaha Sthitaha is always present in space. Tatha, in the same manner, Sarvani Bhutani, all beings, Matsthani, you have to say here, Matsthani Sthitaha, all living beings are present in me, iti upadharaya. In this manner, you should understand. Upadharaya, in this manner, you should understand. Okay. So, he's saying that the entire Jagat is resting in, is found in Brahman. And then there is a question which comes up. When something is the content of a container, does not the the impurity of the content, does it not affect the container? For example, if you have some dirty water in a glass, will the dirt in the water not contaminate the glass? This is the question. And Krishna answers here that I, as Brahman, I accommodate everything, but I am asangaha. I am not tainted, not touched by anything. And for this, he gives the example of Akasha. Akasha example is very often quoted in the Shastram. So, to study that, let us look at what are the common features of Akasha and Ishvara. Because when we study something as a comparative idea, we should know what are the common features. So what are the common features? Number one, Ishvara is formless, without form. Space, Akasha, is formless. The first common feature. Both are formless. Secondly, both are all-pervading, sarva-vyapi. Sarva-vyapitvam is the common feature. Ishvara in his higher nature as consciousness is all-pervading. Space is all-pervading. Number two. Number three, everything is accommodated in space. The entire universe is accommodated in space. Ishvara also accommodates everything including space. The fourth common feature is even while everything is accommodated by space, space itself is not contaminated by whatever accommodates it. For example, space accommodates the oceans, but the wetness of the ocean does not touch space. Space accommodates all the burning fires on this earth also. In fact, space accommodates the burning sun also. But space itself is not touched by the fire of the sun or of the any other fire. And this nature of space is called asangaha, not being touched by. Similarly, just as space is asangaha, Ishvara is also asangaha. He accommodates everything. This universe has good people. This universe has evil people. The universe has good and evil. But Lord himself, Ishvara himself, is not contaminated, is not touched either by the good or by the evil. Then the fifth is space is one. Ishvara is one. Ekam space, ekam Ishvara. Then the next one is akhandaha, which cannot be divided. Space cannot be divided. You cannot cut space using a knife. Brahman or Ishvara cannot be divided. Right? And therefore he takes Akasha as the example. This Akasha is like Ishvara. I cannot be divided. And then Vayuhu Nityam Akasha Sthitaha. That wind is ever present in space. That Vayuhu Sarvatragaha. That Vayu moves everywhere. It can go from Ahmedabad to Delhi, from Delhi to New York. Vayu goes, the air moves from location to location. But what is the idea being conveyed? While the air can move, while the wind can move, remember that whether it is the space in Ahmedabad or in Delhi or on the moon, the space is the same. Vayu can move, but space cannot move. Why? Because it is Mahan, it is great, it is all-pervading. So in spite of the Vayu moving, the Akasha does not move. The space accommodates Vayu, right? And you can also consider that Vayu, the wind coming from the valley of flowers in the Himalayas, has got a very nice smell. Sugandha Vayuhu. While when the wind has coming from a garbage dump, it has got Durgandha Vayu, bad smell also. And therefore this Akasha, this space, it accommodates Vayu, whether it has got good smell or whether it has got bad smell. But Akasha is not contaminated by either the good smell or the bad smell. All these ideas are being conveyed. And then Krishna says, Tatha, in the same manner, Sarvani Bhutani Matsthani. All good people are there, bad people are there inside me, but I am not affected. And iti upadharayaha. May you understand in this manner. May you convince yourself, may you understand, analyze and convince yourself that this is how I exist, this is how all beings exist. Okay, now we look at the next verse. We will chant it, so please unmute yourselves. Verse number 7, chapter number 9. Sarvabhutani Kaunteya
Sarvabhutani Kauteya
Prakritim Yanti Mamikam
Prakritim Yanti
Mamikam
Kalpakshaye Punastani
Kalpakshaye Punastani
Kalpadau Visrajamyaham
Kalpadau
Visrajamyaham.
So Krishna continues with his exposition. He says, Hey Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, hey Arjuna, Kalpakshaye. You can understand? Kalpaha Kshaye. when the kalpa ends, when the cycle ends, cycle of creation ends, what happens? Sarva bhutani, all beings, yanti, they go to mamikam prakritim, into my prakriti. Very nice statement. Kalpakshaye sarvabhutani yanti mamikam prakritim. At the end of each creation cycle, all beings, they go into my prakriti. And not that is not over. The cycle is not, the story is not over. So punaha, again. And what does again mean? Kalpa adau. When the new cycle begins, at the beginning of the next cycle, what happens? Aham visrjami tani. I create all of them, or I manifest all of them. So hey Arjuna, at the end of each creation cycle, all the beings go to my Prakriti. At the beginning of the next cycle, they all come out of the Prakriti again. So these two verses, verses 7 and 8, are an explanation of creation, of the idea that Ishvara is Jagat Karanam, the creator of the world. And how does the Lord create? We have to remember that nothing can be created from nothing. You cannot say, okay, now this is where we differ from some of the other religious faiths. A lot of faiths, they say that Lord creates from nothing. But for us, we say even the Lord, he cannot create from nothing. Right? So before creation of this universe, our stand is the universe was already existing in unmanifest form, in potential form. Because nothing new can be ever created. We also know that because of physics, E is equal to mc squared, right? Energy can be converted into mass, mass can be converted into energy, but no new mass or new matter can ever be created by anybody, including God. That is why for us, Brahman plus Maya. Maya is nothing but matter. Maya is already existing. Ishvara does not need to create because it is part of Ishvara. Brahman plus Maya is Ishvara. So Brahman is already existing. Maya, matter is already existing. So no new creation is ever possible. It is only question of matter moving into different forms, avyakta avastha and vyakta avastha. Therefore, even though God or Ishvara is omnipotent, all powerful, remember that he cannot create Maya because Maya is already existing. In fact, Maya is part of Ishvara. And therefore, here he is saying that I don't create a world at all. That world is already existing in me. In what form? In unmanifest form, in Karana Avastha, in seed form, in potential form. So Karana Avastha is there, unmanifest, Avyakta Avastha, that whole universe exists in me. And what do I do? When creation begins, I convert that Avyakta universe into Vyakta universe, and that is what you call creation. So unmanifest universe is Prakriti, Avyakta Prakriti. You can call it Maya, you can call it energy, whatever. All that happens is unmanifest universe evolves into manifest universe. We have seen this earlier in Bhagavad Gita, where Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyaktan midhanani eva tatraka paridevana. We also saw it once more in the 8th chapter. Avyakta vyaktaha sarva prabhavanti haragame ratriagame praliyante tatraiva vakti sammunike. There is a never-ending cycle of manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. Vyakta, avyakta, vyakta, avyakta. This is called the cycle of creation. Right? Okay. Now, it's like, dream. And you know that Shastra says that you can dream only of what you have experienced. There is no new thing ever possible in your dream. You may think it is new. You might see a man with a buffalo head. But Shastra says that is not. The man with the buffalo head is only a permutation. You have seen the man with a normal head. You have seen the head of a buffalo. All that has happened is in the dream, the head of the buffalo has been taken and put on a man. So you think you're experiencing a man, a new man with a buffalo head. It's nothing. You're only experiencing a man body, which you've already experienced, and a buffalo head, which you've already experienced. So you can never dream of anything new. Everything which is there is already there. And if in this Janma it was not there, in the past Janmas, you could have experienced it. Right? So that there is a recording in your mind. Sometimes the recording and replay will start. And when you replay in the dream, what can you replay? Only what has been recorded. So the point here is that in your dream, the dreamer is potentially manifest in you, the waker. Potentially manifest. That is why in your waking state you don't dream. But in the dreaming state, the dreamer becomes manifest. The waker seems to be unmanifest. Similarly, this world is like Brahman. Is in Brahman, and in unmanifest form, this world is called Maya or Prakriti. In manifest form, it is called Jagat. So this is the text being conveyed. So he says, Sarva Bhutani Prakritim Yanti. All beings, they go to my Prakriti. Right? What is Prakriti? Prakriti is Triguna Atma, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Right? And Shankara in his commentary says that this Prakriti is inferior in terms of reality to Brahman. So why? Brahman is Paramarthika Satyam. Prakriti is Vyavaharika Satyam, 1 degree lower. Right? And what happens to Sarva Bhutani? What happens to all beings? They yanti. They go to Prakriti. Right? They go to whom? Mamikam Prakriti. My Prakriti they go to. And remember here, Krishna is saying they go to my Prakriti. Krishna is not saying they come to me. Right? Even talking from the consciousness aspect, he's being careful. He says, on the resolution of the universe, all beings go to my Prakriti. What is that Prakriti? Prakriti is Upadana Karanam for the universe. And it is only to the Karanam that the Karyam can go. So when the world resolves, it goes back into Prakriti, into Maya. He does not say they come to me. It's a very important point. All beings emerge from and resolve into Maya alone, not into Nirguna Ishvara. Saguna Ishvara is the cause because of Maya Upadhi alone. And remember that whatever is changing, like Maya changing into universe, it is called Parinami Upadana Karanam because there is a change involved. Then can you call, how do you call Ishvara as Karanam? Ishvara is Karanam from 2 angles. From the Maya angle, Ishvara is the Parinami Upadana Karanam for the universe, the changing material cause. What changes? Maya aspect of Ishvara changes into the material universe. What about from the consciousness aspect of Ishvara, from the Brahman aspect of Ishvara? Is he a Karanam? Yes. Because without him, Maya cannot operate. And therefore, Ishvara is also known as the Vivarta Upadana Karanam. Vivarta means non-changing cause. Therefore, when you think of Ishvara as the Nimitta Karanam, it is always Vivarta Karanam. When you think of Ishvara as Upadana Karanam, it is always Parinami Karanam. Right? For example, the Waker, the Vishwa, What kind of Karanam is he for the dream world?
Vivarta.
Is he just Vivarta? Is he also
Or
Upadana?
also the Nimitta. Nimitta.
Vivarta means Nimitta, okay? So, but is he also Upadana Karanam for dream world? You understand that carefully. What is the dream world consisting of?
The dreamer.
Dreamer meaning what?
Acharya is also the Upadana Karanam because eventually they are all thoughts which are interlinked together,
Very
and
good.
thoughts were
So
perceived
it
by
is the
senses.
thoughts which change into the dream world. So thoughts are Parinami Karanam, Upadana Karanam. And the dreamer, the consciousness aspect, is the Vivarta Karanam. Similarly, Brahman is Vivarta Karanam, Maya is Parinami Karanam. And here I would like to point out, because when we read other texts, very often this confusion will come, that in Sankhya, for example, Sankhya also says Prakriti is the Karanam for creation, right? But remember that in Sankhya Darshanam, Prakriti is Satyam and Purusha is Satyam, right? So there is, because Prakriti is Satyam, Prakriti changes by itself into the universe, Ishvara is not required. Therefore, but in Vedanta, the creation requires the analysis of the punya papam of all the jivas. And after the analysis alone, karma phalam is given. And who is the one who does this? Ishvara. Therefore, in Vedanta, Ishvara is a must. In Sankhya, there is no Ishvara. Reason is, there is one of the differences. Other difference is that in Sankhya, Purusha Prakriti are both Satyam. In Vedanta, Purusha or Ishvara is Satyam, Maya or Prakriti is Mithya. These two differences you must remember. So Krishna says, Kalpakshaye. Kalpakshaye is what? Pralaya Kali. When the Pralayam starts, what happens? Remember that Brahmaji's 24 hours is day plus night. Consists of 2000 Chaturyugas. 1000 Chaturyugas being the day and 1000 Chaturyugas being the night. So when he says Pralaya Kale, he means at the end of Brahmaji's day. At the end of 1000 Chaturyugas, what happens? The entire universe resolves into Maya. And Kalpa Adau, Kalpa Adau is Utpatti Kale. At the time of creation, what happens? Aham Visrajami. I start the cycle again. I project the cycle again. So this Utpatti Kale is after Brahmaji's night. The Brahmaji's night also lasts for 1000 Chaturyugas. And then you have to look at the word Punaha, Punaha. Punaha, Punaha indicates again and again, meaning that the creation is cyclic in nature. It is not a one-off creation ending with one creation and one dissolution. It's again and again. And again and again, what happens? Tani. Tani means that very same set of jivas, the very same set of jivas are being recycled. Krishna is saying there are no fresh jivas being created, right? Why? Because no jiva can be created by Bhagavan. And therefore, why can no jiva be created? Going by all this logic. Why can no new jiva be created? Let's amend the question. Why is it not possible for Ishvara to create a new jiva?
Because nothing new
Jiva is
cannot be
matter
created.
because he can't create matter.
Very good. Any jiva is anatma plus atma. And since no fresh anatma can be created by Bhagavan himself, no new jiva can also be created. And so Krishna is saying that in the next Srishti also, I am recycling the same jivas. What happens during Pralaya Kala? Jivas remain in the avyakta, unmanifest, karana shariram form. Right? Because during Pralayam, remember, Sthula Shariram is dissolved, Sukshma Shariram is dissolved, but Karna Shariram does not resolve. And therefore, the Jiva's individuality in the form of Sanchita Punya Papa is retained in the Karna Sharirams. And then Shankara adds, this process is exactly the same like the previous Shrishti, right? Here again, Shankara is adding a very new, very beautiful point that every cycle of creation is exactly the same. There are no changes. What is the cycle? First, there is the 5 subtle elements, then the 5 gross elements, then the combination. So, Pancha Sukshma Bhutani, Pancha Sthula Bhutani, and Sthula Bhautikani, all in the same order. Every time, the same thing happens. Okay. Now we look at verse number 9.
Oh, Acharya,
Yes, please.
can I ask a question?
Of course.
So in every cycle of creation, there is some debit and credit happening to the Sanchita karma because there is rebirth, some
Yes.
punyam papam is getting generated.
Yeah.
Then when we have a new Shrishti,
Yeah.
because we say creation is cyclical,
Correct.
how would the debit credit reflect? Because for it to reflect, there is no next creation, right? It's just a cyclical creation.
It's a cyclical creation. So whatever has been the net balance or the debit credits, whatever they have left you with, the punya papam credit, in the Karana Shariram, remember, for the Sthula Shariram to be born, the Sukshma Shariram is necessary. For Sukshma Shariram to be born, Karana Shariram is necessary. So at the next Srishti, what happens? Only Karana Shariram is there in Pralaya Avastha. From that Karana Shariram, some portion of the Sanchita fructifies, and therefore the Sukshma Shariram comes out. And for the Sukshma Shariram to be able to operate, this Sthula Shariram is also given. I have not followed a question.
Yes.
The
Yeah,
karma is
I guess
there very much.
my question is, the nature of cyclicality negates sequentiality.
There is no sequentiality because what comes from the karma shariram, what is the fructifying prarabdha karma, that is decided by Ishvara. We cannot say that what I did in last janma, that only will fructify. What I did 1,000 janmas before might fructify.
So what I mean is, if there is no sequentiality, the what is Sanchita of one Shrishti versus what will be the Sanchita of next Shrishti? How can
Sanchita is the same.
debit credit?
Sanchita is the same, accepting that it may have increased or decreased. You know, it's like the shopkeeper who has a large box or a godown in which all the grain is there. The godown is the same. The grains are the same. Only the quantity may have increased or decreased depending on how much he has sold today or yesterday. How much he has sold, how much he has bought, that will, dictate the quantity. What is the percentage of punyam and papam? That will differ, of course, depending on how his life has been lived.
Okay. We have to, for it to differ, for me, it seems like there should be sequentiality.
No.
Because the
Take
go
the
down,
take the example of shopkeeper, right? Supposing shopkeeper buys 1,000 kilogram of grain in yesterday and he sold 800, right? Or he bought 1,000 kilogram of good grain and maybe bought 200 of bad grain. Where is the question of sequentiality? That will reflect in the Sanchita. And today, if he buys 10,000 of good grain and 20,000 of bad grain, the composition changes.
Correct. In terms that there is a today and yesterday for the shopkeeper.
Previous cycle and this cycle. Cyclicality means there is a one cycle and there is another cycle. It doesn't mean there are no cycles. There are very clear cycles, but each is a cycle. All we are saying, why we say a cycle is that nowhere in the cycle can you say this is the first point.
Okay.
That is the only point. When you say cycle, what you're trying to say is that there is no beginning of the jiva. There is no point at which you can say this is the time when the jiva began. Because you can ask, what is the karma because of which the jiva is there? So it's because the karma of the previous cycle. In a cycle, remember there are lots of births. Right? Cycle means
Yes.
1000 Chatur Yuga. So lots of births.
Acharya ji. So just an
Thank you.
extension of this, when we are saying the Chatur Yugas, so there is a pattern, Satya Yuga to Dwapar Yuga, Treta Yuga and Kala Yuga and back to Satya Yuga.
Yeah.
So the creation cycle from Kala Yuga, which is the maximum papam content, and then there is a Satya Yuga after that. So this is also, this has no randomness in us. I mean,
No, I don't know. When you use words like random, you must say what exactly is random.
so from the maximum papam, then we have a yuga. Satya Yuga is characterized by more sattva content.
Yeah.
That is what is the understood. So how does that cycle go on if the karma and the
There is, do you know what is meant by entropy? It's a term in physics.
Yeah.
Entropy means
Um,
given what you call closed system, everything
yes.
tends to deteriorate.
It happens with cells also, Acharya.
Yes.
Biology
Unless an
also gives
external event,
entropy.
things tend to deteriorate.
Yes.
And therefore, from if you look at the Satya Yuga, it's a slowly deterioration cycle up to the Kala Yuga.
okay. All right, thank you. And then Acharya ji, when we say this is at the end of pralayam, that everything goes into avyakta state or maya, but then what is the difference in mahapralayam then?
Good question. So remember that there is a Brahmaloka also. Okay. In Pralayam, Brahmaloka remains. In Mahapralayam, Brahmaloka also dissolves. So Lord Brahmaji's life ends. And then a new Lord Brahmaji is born. That is Mahapralayam. So it is saying that Lord Brahmaji is also a jiva who has got a lot of punyam. But he also has, like, one cycle is one day of Brahmaji, one night of Brahmaji. Like that, there are 365. This is 365. There are 100 years. At the end of those 100 years of Lord Brahmaji, the Brahmaloka dissolves. These are purely Anatma discussions. I mean, it's only for people who like Puranas. You shouldn't beat your head too much with that.
No, just out of curiosity, that's all. Thank you.
Know. Okay.
Acharya ji.
Yes, John.
So when we say that the jivas that attain moksha in this Mahapralayam, they don't come back.
No, I didn't say jivas. You cannot say that. Jivas don't attain moksha. How do you say that? If during Mahapralayam you are saying jivas attain moksha, it destroys the purpose of Shastram, right? All I have to do is to wait till Mahapralayam comes and I've got moksha.
Sorry. My words were not the most appropriate. I will rephrase my thinking. So the jivas that attain moksha during this cycle, after Mahapralayam, in the new cycle, they don't come back, right?
There's no karma shariram left, so they don't come back.
Okay. So yeah, thank you. I just wanted to clarify.
In fact, that is true for every cycle, not necessarily Mahapralayam, also Pralayam.
Yes.
In a cycle of creation, if 10 jivas have achieved moksha, their karma sharirams have gone on the day that they get Videha Mukti. And therefore, those 10 karma sharirams do not appear in the next Srishti at all. So it's not necessarily Mahapralayam. Any Pralayam, whoever gets moksha, that is no longer going to appear in the next Pralayam, in the next Srishti.
Thank you.
Acharyaji, then with this respect, can we not say that the Karam Shariram is getting destroyed over here?
When you get moksha, that is the destruction of karma shariram. We said that, if you remember the Tattva-bodha, that there is only one event under which karma shariram will be destroyed. That is moksha.
That matter cannot be destroyed. So
That simply means that the connection between that karma shariram and consciousness is gone. Matter will not get destroyed.
thank you.
That's something which you need to meditate upon. How is it that karma shariram is set to get destroyed? Because the ownership is gone. That Jivatma who said this is my karma shariram, that Jivatma has understood that he is not a karma shariram.
So essentially, there is no destruction, but
So you
it
cannot
just.
violate that principle that matter can never be destroyed.
Thank you.
Very good
Om
point.
Acharya.
Om Raviji.
Yes, let June speak first, then Munmun. Yeah, June.
So this, because matter cannot be destroyed, this Karana Shariram remains somewhere floating in the unmanifest, but
No, the thing is that,
no?
in any textbook, if you see, like even Vivek Chudamani, for example, Shankaracharya does not distinguish between karma shariram of an individual and samashti karma shariram for a very simple reason. And this is the point which all of us need to understand. That is why it is called Maya. The more you probe into it, the less you understand. And that is why that question was so good, because it's a question which nobody has ever asked in any of the classes. What happens to the karma shariram when the jiva gets moksha? Very good question. Karma shariram does not get destroyed because it cannot be destroyed. And if you're trying to explain logically how is it that karma shariram does not get destroyed, you can't explain. That is why it's called Maya. Anirvachaniyam, that which cannot be explained.
Thank you, Acharya.
So at
I
some
have got
point,
my answer.
at some point, you throw up your hands and say, okay, I can't explain anymore. Okay. Right. Anyway, excellent question. So I'm very happy about that. Nobody has ever asked that question. Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but you had once said that once you get moksha, then the Karan Sharir, which is the seed, it all gets burnt.
Yep.
The Jnani thing gets burnt. So if something is burnt, there's nothing further left.
Now that is the exact explanation that I've given. Because when you say karma shariram gets destroyed, the explanation is that there is no further birth because there is no further karma shariram. But then the question arises, which was asked, how then can you say that Krishna himself says that everything goes into unmanifest condition, and because it's getting destroyed rather. That's the point here. It cannot get destroyed, and you cannot investigate any further into that because it is anirochin. That is why it's called Maya. You cannot investigate matter beyond a certain point. Right? You look at the table in front of you. What is it actually? It is wood. You look under a micron electroscope. What is exactly? It is atoms and electrons.
Molecules.
You look into that further. What is it exactly? It becomes particles and waves. You look into it further. What is exactly? Therefore, it cannot be explained. You cannot investigate beyond a point into matter. Only when you accept that Maya is mithya, exists, but cannot be explained, then only your understanding of Shastra becomes firm.
Well, both concepts that way, Raviji. Consciousness also is you cannot, you can only know it, but you cannot talk about it. And even Maya is like that.
No, consciousness is you yourself.
Yourself.
So there is no question of saying, I don't know it. I
No,
know it.
I know it, but I cannot tell anybody that this is it.
You don't have to. Everybody who's listening to you knows they are conscious. All you have to say is that power because of which you are able to hear what I am saying, that is Brahman, that is consciousness. Everybody will understand the statement. It is only when you try to objectify that consciousness as separate from you that problems arise. But in the case of Maya, Maya is very much objectifiable because it is different from you. But it is not, cannot be investigated beyond a certain point.
So, Om Acharya, when we say that the cycle of birth and death ends for a Jivatma, actually for me, for I consciousness, that cycle of birth and death will always be going on, being superimposed on me in some way or the other. I'll always be undergoing that.
Very good, Rinku. You are now getting to the essence of, for you, it doesn't matter whether the world is born or not. The world can continue to be born. The world can continue to die. How does it make a difference to you?
Right.
So that's what is the essence.
Thank you.
Right. Okay.
So, Raviji, then no new Jiva is born. Is that statement has Lakshartha? I mean, because if I take direct meaning, that connection is broken means the Jiva form is not there.
Yes.
I'm not
Correct.
sure if my
Jiva form
voice is
not
clear.
there. Yeah, correct. The connection is broken means that particular anatma to which consciousness is connected and it was thinking I am Munmun, that particular anatma is not born. And if you are going to ask me the logical question, what happens to that particular anatma? Does that particular anatma get
Yes.
another consciousness and call itself Alka? Then the answer is, I don't know. That is what is Maya.
Okay. Okay. Because Jiva means not only the conscious living being and all. Can we call or
The anatma portion, the mind is very much there. That is why we say Sukshma Shariram gets destroyed. Not that the anatma can never be
Yes.
destroyed. Only the connection is broken. So you'll see as time goes on that you just cannot investigate there.
Thank
The
you.
more you investigate, the more confused you'll get.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So let us chant verse number 8. Please unmute yourself. Prakritim swamavashtabhya
Prakritim
Prakritim
swamavashtabhya
swamavashtabhya
visrajamih punah punah
Visrajami
Vishrajami
punaha
punaha
bhutagramam imam kritsnam
bhutagramam
Bhutagramimam krishnam
avasham prakriteravashat.
Avasham
avasham
prakrite
prakritervashat.
vashat.
So Krishna continues to talk about creation. And he says, Swam Prakritim, my own Maya, my own Prakriti, Avashtabhya. So you have to break up that. Prakritim, Swam, take the Swam in front. Swam Prakritim, Avashtabhya. Swam Prakritim means my own Prakriti, Avashtabhya, controlling. What do I do? Visrajami. Visrajami means I create, Punaha, Punaha, again and again. So he's saying, I control my Prakriti and I create again and again. What do I do? Imam Kritsnam Bhutak Gramam. Imam, this Kritsnam, entire Bhutak Gramam, this village of bhutas, village of beings. So has to be taken as this entire universe of jivas I create again and again. But and he says avasham. Avasham is a very, very important point. Right? What is avasham? Helplessly. Avasham vashat prakritehe. I helplessly create. Though I am in control of Prakriti, I helplessly create this. So the entire universe is helplessly born. Which means what? That Ishvara has no control over the creation of the universe or the destruction of the universe. He has to create. Why does he have to create? Because everybody has got karma. Everybody, that karma has to be exhausted. Ishvara's job is to provide the environment, provide the infrastructure. He has to helplessly create. Okay. Now here, in the Bhashyam, Shankara Bhashyam, as you know, I am basing a lot on Shankara Bhashyam because you are advanced class. Normally in a Moolam class, we don't discuss all this. But this is the advanced class. So many of you also done part of the Upanishads and all. And therefore, the Shankara Bhashyam will prove interesting to you. So he defines Prakriti as Avidya Lakshanam. Avidya Lakshanam means that Prakriti which is Avidya itself. Normally what happens, how do we, when somebody asks you what is Avidya, what is the meaning, you say Avidya literally means avidya, absence of Vidya. That is the meaning of Avidya, right? But here Shankara says no. Prakriti is Avidya Lakshanam. Prakriti is Avidya itself. Because it is Avidya itself, that is why Prakriti is often referred to as Moola Vidya. Moola Avidya, the main Avidya. So remember that what is the problem with translating Prakriti as Avidya? Avidya means absence of Vidya. Absence of Vidya means non-existent, right? So a non-existent Avidya which is non-existent, it can never be negated. It can never be eliminated. But by saying that Prakriti is Avidya itself, you are saying it is Avidya, but it is opposed to Vidya. Like light is opposed to darkness. Where light exists, because it is opposed to darkness, darkness cannot exist. And therefore, where Vidya comes, Avidya cannot exist. If you say it is absence of Vidya, then it becomes a non-existent Avidya. That non-existent Avidya cannot be eliminated. And therefore, Krishna is saying that with the help of this Prakriti, which is nothing but Avidya itself, I create. Right? This statement will not be logical if you say Avidya is absent. But then what would it mean? It would mean with the help of an absent, non-existent Maya, I am creating. That is why it's important for us to understand Shankara's definition. It is not a non-existent Maya, it's a Maya which is Avidya itself, which is in the form of Avidya, Mula Vidya. And what does it do? Aham punaha punaha visrajami. I create again and again and again. That punaha punaha is a very important idea because creation, Vedanta says, is a cyclic process, not a linear process. If you look at creation as a linear process, then a lot of logical problems come in. When did it begin? How did it begin? What was the karma for the first jiva? All these questions come. And therefore we say, punaha punaha, it's a cycle. And therefore you can never ask the question, when did creation begin? Because when you say, you will say, after the last creation. When did the last creation begin? After the creation before that. Therefore that question can never be asked. And what does it do? Prakritim, Swam Prakritim Avashtabhya. With the help of Prakriti under my control. Why is that statement important? Because I, Ishvara, control Maya, but Maya controls Jivas. right? So he says, just as Brahman cannot create unless the creation is there in a potential form, and therefore potential form is called Prakriti. So this is the idea. Prakriti means unmanifest Jagat. And with the help of this unmanifest Jagat called Prakriti, I create what? Imam Kritsnam Bhutak Gramam. This entire universe of things and beings, of inanimate things and animate beings, of jivas, I create. And I create avasham, helplessly. It's not in my control at all because of the karma. It cannot be stopped. Therefore, there will be birth, there will be death, there will be birth, there will be death. Creation is one huge giant wheel. You know, the giant wheel goes on and on and on. And avashat prakritehe means that here you cannot say that Ishvara wants to create. There is no will of Ishvara involved. As long as karma is there, he has to create. So the question of why did Ishvara create this world and create me and create so much suffering, that is not relevant at all because avasha. He has no choice. He is absolutely bound to create. And Shankara writes avasham is equal to asvatantram, not independent. And not independent means what? Under the control of avidya. Avidya, Maya has to create. And has to create why? Because karma has to be experienced. And therefore, the entire creation is under the control of three things: avidya, kama, and karma. These three things are always there, right? And some people say that Bhagavan's Leela is amusement for him. What kind of Bhagavan is it who gives so much suffering? And that is why Krishna says, Prakriti Ravasha. I have no choice. Creation happens because of Maya. Ishvara cannot be held responsible. And so whenever I am faced with a problem, understand it as a result of prarabdha, prakriti only. Whenever a unpleasant thought, a non-spiritual thought comes into my mind, understand it to be a result of prakriti. Avashat. The thought is going to come. So both jnani and ajnani will have unwelcome thoughts. What is the difference? The ajnani thinks the thought has come because of me. I am the author of the thought. Therefore, he has guilt. Therefore, the resentment, anger, everything is there. The jnani knows that even when his mind is getting angry, it is because of prakriti. He does not claim ownership. Okay. So in conclusion, let us summarize so far what we have so far learnt about the higher nature of Ishvara. One is avyaktam, cannot be seen. One is sarvagataha, all-pervading. One is the substratum of the jagat, mithya jagat, adhishthanam. He is substratum of the entire universe, which means there can be no matter without consciousness. The fourth one is asangaha, untouched by anything of the universe. The fifth one is the shrishti, sthiti, laya karanam, the creation, cause of the creation, cause of maintenance, and cause of destruction. The entire creation resolves, comes from, is sustained by, and is resolved by Ishvara. And we have to add that Ishvara, I am. So with this, we'll stop for today. Any questions? Okay. So with this, we'll stop for today. Thank you for your patience. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam
Purnamudachyate Purnasya
Purnamādāya Purnamevāvasishyate.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Tat
Om Tat Sat. Om
Namaskara.
Namaskara.
Patience.
So much,
Om.
Acharya ji.
See you next week. Om.